Which arcade game has the most of your quarters? Time Crisis, spent a week of my teens playing it through with my best friend at the beach. I'm probably showing my age here, but The Simpsons arcade was fantastic. A lot of my pocket money was swallowed up by that game. X-Men, specifically the big 6-player model cabinet. Runner-up, Area 51. House of the Dead 2, since we wanted to complete it. We did, but at what it cost. Street Fighter 2. Area 51, motherfuckers. It's been like 10 years, but I still know when those bastards are going to pop up and I'm ready to take them the fuck down. Galaga. Dance Dance Revolution Extreme, specifically. Yo Captain Jack. Good times. Initial D. I've spent so much money on that game in high school I could have bought a car and street raced for real. Golden Axe. And there was a Star Wars one I played all the time. Not sure if it had a specific name, but basically you go through the original trilogy. DDR and pump it up. I have easily $500 to $750 into those machines over the last year. I loved Pole Position, Spy Hunter, Double Dragon, Sunset Riders, Soul Calibur 2, hours and hours on that game with my friends. I ended up getting a job at that arcade, in part so I could then play for free after I closed for the night. Totally worth it. Dragon's Lair, Space Ace, Super Don Quixote and Cobra Command. All laser disc games from the 80s and the first to be 50 cents as opposed to a quarter. Those games sucked down my allowance like a vacuum. Yes, I am old. Dragon's Lair. A really old 80s game called Lunar Lander, I think. I never managed to get the thruster properly controlled to make a soft landing. Bubble Bobble. Tron. Something about that glowing blue joystick and the light cycles. I'd have to say the original Mortal Kombat, Scorpion was the man back then. Revolution X. It was the go-to after-school game for probably a year. My friends and I used to have the whole game memorized. Where to find all the band members, all the secrets, the best ways to beat the levels, etc. As good as we were, though, arcade machines are still designed to take your money. So we couldn't beat it without coughing up a couple of bucks each. Great game, though. Cheesy, but so Marvel vs. Capcom at the local comic book shop my brother used to regularly go to for Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments. Cruisin' USA robbed me of most of my allowance and Mortal Kombat took the rest. There were 2 games I played a metric fuckton of back in the day, Gauntlet Legends and Virtual On. Tempest and Centipede probably. Cruisin' Exotica. House of the Dead. Tekken 2. Daytona Beach, Florida. Probably put $100 in that machine. NBA Jam Tournament Edition. Metal Slug 3. I would keep on putting more and more quarters until I had no more and bummed them of my friends. Defender. Killer Instinct. And I remember being too nervous to try Mad Dog McCree. Turtles in Time, without question this was it for me. X-Men Welcome to Die. I am Magneto Master of Magnet. Missile Command. $20 a day at my peak. Pinball. I can't remember the exact one, but when I was a kid my dad used to take me to the junkyard with him. He'd give me a bunch of quarters and have me wait in the lobby playing pinball while he went searching for parts to fix our cars. Ghouls and Ghosts. I spent too much money on it thinking I'd eventually get good enough to get past level 2. I didn't, but I still liked it. I loved Crazy Taxi for some reason. It was at the laundromat when I was a kid and I remember once using half the quarters that were supposed to be used for the drying machines. Mortal Kombat 2. Probably spent $501,994 on that one. Other than The Simpsons and TMNT arcade games, I'd have to go with the Terminator 2 arcade game with the gun mounted on it. I played that game so much. Street Fighter 2. As a franchise, DDR. I used to run long distance and lived in Minnesota. I hated ruining on treadmills and indoor tracks, so DDR was my winter training. Tekken. I even am on the high score screen. Probably the old vector graphics Star Wars game. Growing up it was for sure the trio of X-Men, TMNT, and The Simpsons. To this day I will always drop a quarter in Galaga if I see it. More recently, the Barcade by my house got the Star Wars game that you fly in, lightsaber fight, and I've been going there to play it once or twice a week. Star Wars Battle Pod at Dave & Buster's is awesome. My wife and I went there randomly to visit a friend of mine who works there and it ate a ton of my money and time. Also, not really a video game, but I love probably cheating here, but it was technically an arcade machine. In DK64, there's an arcade machine in the 3rd level where you play the original Donkey Kong. I've been trying for 20 years to beat it cause it only gives you one life to beat the whole thing, and you need to do it twice to beat the whole game. Contra. I stopped playing in arcades a long time ago, so it's Missile Command. Galaga, Q, Asterisk Bert and Frogger, yes I am old lol. Aliens Colonial Marines, and the Jurassic Park one where you sit in the Jeep. Smash TV. Probably Lord of the Rings Pinball. I fed that thing so many quarters. Or Sunset Riders. An absolute favorite. Coin Pushers. Dragon's Lair. Bastard took 2 tokens to play. Simpsons arcade game, The Lost World Jurassic Park, and The Ocean Hunter. Asteroids. I just shed a tear when I realized it was released in 1979 cause that apparently is a long time ago. The little convenience store down at the beach took a lot of my money. Not an arcade game but pinball machines for me, mostly High Speed 2 The Getaway. Dig Dug. I rarely meet other people who love it like I do, but it's my absolute favorite. Big Buck Hunter. Galaga. The pinball games. After 4 years I'm a master at it. One time I played for 2 hours straight. Had a bunch of people watching me with my triple ball but my mom called telling me to cone home so I played for about 5 minutes with one hand. That hyped the crowd up so much that when I finally finished people were cheering like nuts. I put my name for the high score as them turned around and yelled gender rights. The reaction was amazing. Valkyrie needs food badly. Capcom vs Street Fighter 2. Mrs. Pac-Man and Galaga. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. Drummania, and Time Crisis. Whatever that racing stunt snowmobiling one was. It's a Mexican standoff between Time Crisis 2, Jurassic Park, and Asterisk Police 911 Asterisk 2. Time Cop. Love those light gun games. The pizza place we can ride our bikes to had Galaxin. That one definitely. At the full-size arcade Dagon's Lair cause it cost 2 quarters to play. Soul Calibur. Dragon's Lair in 20th century, Time Crisis in the 21st. Skittles. Pac-Man. Do claw machines count because I have about $50 in those things? Big Bass Wheel. Any game with a Gatling gun. I just think it's funny for people to see my lightweight person to be using a Gatling gun and shooting everything, that gives me points, I have morals. Windjammers. I'm showing my age now but there was a pinball machine called Spanish Eyes in the student center when I was a college freshman. I had a 3 or 4 hour break between classes and I also had the second highest score ever on that machine. It's either Altered Beast or Rolling Thunder. AB was in a bowling alley where my dad had his bowling league nights. RT was just one of my favorites. And X200B. Tekken. Virtual Fighter. Sega Terminator Rally. 2, Ridge Racer, double-screen X-Men game and MK2. Oh, and the old Ninja Turtles cabinet. Crossy Road, arcade version. Pac-Man Plus, Pac-Man Deluxe, and Smash TV. Kicking it old school. Dino King. Star Trek, Strategic Operations Simulator, https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/star_trek_arcade_game. That was my jam. I've always considered myself mediocre at video games but loved playing. However, I was really good at this one. Whenever I'd come back to Aladdin's Castle arcade in the mall, I'd check to see if my initials were still at the top. If not, it was on. Soul Calibur 1 and 2. DDRMAX2 Dance Dance Revolution 7 The Mix. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat 2. Super Mario Bros. Not quarters, loonies. Stack'em game. Won an iPod Touch once, never stopped trying for another big prize. Either Pit Fighter, https://www.youtube.com/watch?v equals pnfu-bx2a : Turtles in Time, https://www.youtube.com/watch?v equals pjzo-hisijpc or X-Men, https://www.youtube.com/watch?v equals vgf_vm-q19a . Samurai Showdown. Silent Scope 2. House of the Dead 2. NBA Jam. We used to pump quarters into that thing like crazy. House of the Dead. If I actually used quarters, it would definitely be Dragon's Lair. It was at a free-play arcade, but I played a ton of it. The Ms. Pac-Man in the mall, I always save my last 5 quarters and would play the shit out of it until I run out. Mortal Kombat for sure. Skee ball. I love playing it so much that when I was a kid we ended up getting a small one in our basement. Wasn't as good as the arcade ones, but still filled the skee ball itch.